Hello, welcome on to this ninth day on this journey. It's been an amazing few days now, and I truly am, just somewhat transformed. Just even sharing and researching on this has kind of opened my eyes to how best to even deal with some of these issues. Okay, I never even realized that some of these things were issues or could have been challenges that could naturally have either marred the relationship or somewhat also just gotten me off on a neutral or negative emotional tangent. Okay, and so yes, I welcome you all to the redefining masculinity today. My name is Odisha Etara Adepoju, aka the Oracle. Well, I was moved to start up this series, redefining masculinity today. I haven't clocked 20 years in marriage, and there was this bit around a perspective that I started to realize based on the changing times and seasons that we are in. And it was just important to just share my own perspective to help those that are coming into the institution have a better understanding. I'll probably also just have an experiential insight, okay? And then those that are already in it, we could have shared thoughts. We're learning, I'm learning, and I hope that this kind of helps us, to just help redefine and reinvent ourselves as men in these times. So today, day 9, is not so much as to even the woman now or the wife. Okay, it's also like one of your primary responsibilities as a procreator. Remember, we talked about the different dimensions and responsibilities of men, and as a man, so beyond just being a provider, a partner, a priest, the patriarch, and several other things. One of those things that we captured was about being the procreator, but not just being a procreator, is to be able to nurture, okay, children, okay, and even those around you to the point where they become role models. Okay, so our focus today is as to the role of fathers, okay, morphing from just being seen as the disciplinarian, okay, to the point where they are considered as that. And I'm very intentional about this because this is one of the things that gets our children or even the some of the people around us estranged to the point where they cannot truly relate with their dad. And I quickly learned that because I somewhat attended a parenting class. Okay, that was one. And then I recall when I started to prepare for fatherhood, just at the point when my wife was pregnant and for our first child. And I watched a series of videos on YouTube then, and I got better informed as to how to even take care of the child, the baby, much more than even the traditional methods that hitherto have been deployed. As we progress on this discourse for today, I probably just want to have to start on this question: as what kind of father do you want to be? Okay, do you see yourself more as a disciplinarian or as a father who balances discipline with love and connection? So our society has militarized us, particularly in Africa and particularly in Nigeria, where I'm resident currently. One of the things that I realized was that the way we sought to, drive our words, our children, even our contemporaries, even our homes, was out of, was not done or founded on fear. We equated respect with fear, that they need to fear you and respect you. But we're soon realizing that it's much more than fear, and just all that respect. It's about having love and connection with your children to the point where, as a dad, you can achieve more and better outputs for your children when you are a dad, when they can relate with you, when they can walk up to you, when they can discuss their pain points, okay, when they can be vulnerable also to you. I think it was also the scripture that said, do not provoke the children to wrath. So clearly, there is the role a father plays, okay. Yes, there's the need to instill discipline, but can we bring about love and connection? So as we progress, there has been a traditional role of the disciplinarian. And like I said, we have been militarized. So I was raised by my mom. I didn't know my dad until I was about 18, and that experience also created a vacuum, in the sense that there was no father figure. Yes, I had my uncles, I had people that I looked up to, and I considered their life as to being the yardstick towards setting my own. Little did I know that they also did not have it perfect, right? Because the result of the drive, the result of any action in time past is based on the output. And a couple of them are also in regrets as to maybe their children would have turned out better. Maybe because there's really no syllabus, okay, no workbook that gives you this is how to be an effective and efficient dad. We all can try, okay? So it's always been trial and error. And as I said, some of this information and insights will be based on my own perspective. You distill the one that is required for you, you add the one that you need to add, and then we can progress. So the traditional role of the disciplinarian was to instill, fear. And back in those days, the man was considered as the custodian of authority. That he must wield the big stick. We considered the mothers, okay, or wives to be the weaker vessels, okay. So when the children were about to misbehave, the threat was to have to call the children to order by saying, "I will tell your dad." And they had boxed men into that role as to being the guy that is a dictator, which ordinarily shouldn't have been. I recall growing up also, because like I told you, I didn't grow up with knowing a dad until I was about 18. So if you had done anything, the next thing that they needed to use to get you to do things or to put you in fear was to tell you Ojuju is coming, or to probably tell you that I will tell so person. And because of fear, you comport yourself, or I'll report it to your teacher, or I'll get your teacher to flog you. So we found out that when people were clueless as to how to administer the home, when they were supposed to build and nurture love and connection, they defaulted to bringing some kind of fear, and that fear was literally superimposed on the men to say, yes, you'll be the Machiavelli of our time, you'll be the Sun Tzu, okay, and then you must now make sure that when things are going in the opposite direction, the father is a disciplinarian that must bring order. So men have been nursed to and boxed into that corner traditionally to be the ones as harbingers of authority and respect. But these roles have evolved over time, okay, and we'll say, okay, look, if you think that, because for me, even this, so let me even take it further on. That nature also reflects in our society, where there's this, when they say a father figure, it's not so much as to someone that is a role model, is that it's someone that is a disciplinarian and is emotionally distant. So he is somewhat dispassionate, is seen as a tyrant, and that has not been truly helpful. So part of my my objective for this session today is to have men move from being disciplinarians to becoming dads. Okay, so it's an evolution, okay, where we start to talk about the VUCA type of dad, okay, a dad that can easily meander through volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. It's about today's dad, finding balance between discipline and being present emotionally. It's about, knowing when to set out those boundaries, okay, and also when to nurture with understanding, and to be available for the children whilst you're also chasing the money. So I would like to say that in this day and age, from those traditional roles of authority and respect and providing structure alone, men have now evolved to the point where they now have become dads, okay, people that are emotionally available, and this truly sets us apart. Okay, I'm emotionally available. So I recall starting, I talked about a parenting program I attended then as a parent, and they told me about the dynamics of how children learn, and I started to relate it to something I studied in psychology back then in school about Sigmund Freud, and we started to talk about the developmental stages of the child. Now, without this application, it would have been a struggle to be a role model dad. And I'm not saying I'm perfect, but all I'm trying to say is that somehow this put some kind of, will I say, boundaries, conditioned me to be able to also ensure that I was working as a custodian of the children and not just the owner, enforcing my own rules, my own way, and to also instilling fear. And in that wise, I started to become more emotionally available, okay? Because if you are not emotionally available to your children, to your spouse, you'll soon find out that when they start to grow old, okay, or they become a lot more matured, and you start to grow older, something will happen. You will not be able to find that connection. And so those are one of the things I try to easily redress or address whilst I started to see that there was already this gap. And this gap was because, one, I came up with this model that the first 5 years is for the woman, the next 5 years is for the man, then from year 10 to 15 is back to the woman, and then from year 15 to 20 is back to the man. And why did I come up with this? It was that when the child, during the first 5 years of marriage, there's the affinity between the mother breastfeeding the child, and this close proximity also just lets the child see the mother as the sole provider, almost like the person breastfeeding me, the person that answers to me, the person that is available. And men, in trying to be available, pursued other means by providing finance, protection, and all of that. But the child was oblivious of this fact. The child did not know anything about money. So men had somewhat distanced themselves. Now you cannot imagine, they've also now made you look like the tyrant, the dictator. And so this further estranged you from your word, from your children. Okay? So in that wise, you did not have this emotional connection. So what is the redefinition for today? You must be emotionally available, okay? Because this is what is going to separate you. You have lived a life where you have distanced yourself, which could be detrimental to your, your retirement age, or even as you begin to grow older. So emotional availability. This is what separates a dad from just being a disciplinarian. And much more than that is that fatherhood is about guiding through love and not enforcing fear. Whoever told us that fear would provoke or bring about any great results? Okay, so the thought is like, can we just even shift? Can we have this mindset shift And for those that are still nurturing, their own words, their children, that you must create an environment that is healthy, okay, where there's trust with your children, where they can share with you without being condemned, where they can tell you their feelings rather than tell it to someone at the other side that probably also will just pry on them or take advantage of them. You want to be able to guard them and guide them. You want to be able to observe them, observe the patterns that either told you had exuded over time, that you are seeing it being reflected or repeated in that child. So we are meant to give guidance in this age through love and not fear. I can't overemphasize that, but one thing I need to say is that, look, beyond just being emotionally available, is that real fatherhood is about guiding through love and not enforcing fear. Yes, there's discipline, but can we be sure that we are connecting and there is love? Another dimension for consideration is as to how well to build trust and connection. And I can't emphasize this bit as to the role of the modern dad includes not just developing a deep emotional connection with children. It is that you want to earn your trust. They want to know daddy is there. They want to know you are present. They want to know you are listening. They want to know that you show genuine interest in their lifestyle, in their welfare, in their well-being, as to going to school, as to the meals to make. One of the things I had working for me was that I was not just a dad that was going out to seek financial provision alone for the family or to try and protect the family. There were instances where I would get into having to cook. There were instances where they would see me having to work. They will see me having to play. I always cultivated the habit of us gathering around the table over a meal or going on some cruise or travel. Now, that was my own way of being there, of building trust and building connection. And I think at some point they related with me. I recall just recently during my birthday, and I had to start to cry. I became emotional as to my son truly telling me, wow, he sees the sacrifices I make. He sees how I've had to, at some point suspend, temporary satisfaction just so that they can be well and able. Now, how could I have achieved that? I didn't have to push them away, even though at some point they would have considered me to be a tyrant, right? Remember, I evolved over time. I haven't gone into that parenting class. I think it was Kunle Shurion that did that class there. And he told us about that children are born, if I remember now, they are restless, children are born fearless, and children are born to be curious. And when he decided to share, he got me thinking that why must I quieten the inquisitiveness or the curiosity of my child? And that's when I came up with this thought that curiosity never killed the cat. It showed me a cat that curiosity has killed. I recall in those times also, my son was asking us, who does the offering, the church offering, who does it go to? We said, this is church money. Yeah, and it goes to God. So he asked me now that who does this money go to? How do they convey this money to God? And you can rest assured that those were times where we would just have to say, okay, they are custodians just like we are custodians over you. It's God that gave you to us, and so also we are supposed to manage you all in the best way possible. I probably did not have a good or perfect answer, but it was that my son was able to ask me, who is the custodian? Who takes responsibility? How do they give this money to God? So if a child was under fear, there was no way the child would have been able to ask that question. Okay, so now when you start to develop this relationship, does it mean that you will not discipline the children? Oh, you will. You cannot spare the rod. If you spare the rod, it's clear you are going to spoil the child. So there are times when you must, there's the eye contact now. Now, back in those days, the way our parents handled our matter was crazy. They left us clueless. I was joking with one of my sisters one day, a senior cousin, and she started to tell us about on a particular time they visited one of their family friends, okay, and the relationship with that family friend was such that the mother had warned them that once they get to that place, they better not take anything. That they cannot attempt to take any food they offer them, any drink they offer them. So when they got there, they visited, and as soon as they were playing around, settling in and all of that, their host came up and said, won't you children eat? They said, no, we're not hungry. They insisted that they weren't hungry. Then the host was saying, is it that your mother or your father has instructed you people not to eat? They said, no, how can they? So they were hell-bent on not eating. To the point where when the host was even saying, no, can you even take some? Okay, taste something. Take some biscuits. They said no. My cousin suffered the consequence. As soon as they were on their way home, she said she got the beating of her life. That you want to disgrace me, you want to embarrass me. Why is it that even when I was giving you eye to eat, the child said, no, I did not know. I thought because you had given us that instruction, I should not do anything. Anyway, that was day one, visit one. This same experience now happened again, to the point where they went visiting another family member. And remember, the mother had told them that I was only telling you not to eat, but you could at least have eaten. You'd have used your initiative or your discretion to eat. Okay. So they went visiting the second time to another family member or friend. And when they got there, by the time they said they were not eating, after some time, those people insisted, and they now ate shamelessly. Oh, your guess is as good as mine. They also received another beating. So now, my cousin was telling me that they became confused as to what are we supposed to really do? Are we supposed to eat or not to eat? They were clueless. And that's how children were raised. In fact, that's how most of us were raised. Okay, now, is that the way you want to raise your children? No, you must give them options. You must give them direction. If you want to be a disciplinarian and you want to instill discipline, can you give guidance? Can you give reasons? Can you give consequences? Not just saying, can't you think? And then, oh wow, this is so funny. My mom will always tell me then, use your gumption. Do you know that it was only in recent times I realized the meaning of gumption? I just used to think, what is this woman up again? Use your gumption. Use your gumption. Ambition should be made of external stuff. I did not know the meaning of external stuff. Ambition should be, your ambition should be made of external stuff. Well, look, a couple of these things that you guys share with your children, they are clueless about it. Break it down. They break it down. So we're saying that we must move to that point where we have love and connection, we're emotionally available, and much more is that it's about guiding with love, okay? About guiding with love and not enforcing fear. Now, one thing that is critical in every team structure, in every team dynamics, whether at home, whether in the workplace, whether even with your spouse, because you're also a team, is trust. And I can't overemphasize that in fatherhood, trust is just that thing that enables you to build connection and not just control. So imagine if your child is fearful. You can't build trust. They consider you as, a dictator. They consider you as a tiger, a wolf. They can't come near you. So can we create that, for those that either are progressing in age and listening to us on this program of redefining masculinity, I dare say that you need to evolve and you can still change the outcome eventually. You can still make yourself available, okay? Because trust in fatherhood is built through connection and not, just control. And let me quickly just wrap this up, as to the role of discipline. We must discipline with empathy, teach our children responsibly and with respect. And those magic words, like I talked about Sigmund Freud, it's like children, okay, they will do what you do and not what you say. Yes. So you are busy saying that don't do this, and yet daddy is doing that. We're saying, and so you're telling them about the 5 magic words. Always say please. But when you want to get something from them, you're also not saying please. So they get confused. You talk to me in a disrespectful manner. I've learned how to talk, and then I'm talking to other people like that, and you say I don't have respect. But I learned it from you. You are saying stop shouting, but the father is always shouting. I learned it from you. You insult people on the road as they are passing and say you are foolish, you are mad, even as you are driving. Look at this mad idiot. They've learned it from you. Guys, fathers, grandfathers, we must evolve. All right, we must evolve. Okay, so I want us to just say, okay, how then do we move? Because a lot of people now say, yes, you told us, yes, we know about these things, in fact we're still like this. Then what must we do? We're saying that it's about being present. If there's anything I tell my people is that if I'm relating with them, I want to be present. I want to go out with them. I want to go to movies with them. I want to be able to have conversations with them. Sometimes when we go out on those outings, I seize all the phones and I say, hey guys, okay, let's talk. Let's play a game. Let's reason together. And that's it. That's the mandate. So fatherhood is about presence. Okay? It's not about the figure. It's about being present. It's not about control. Can we just face it? It's about being present. Okay, fatherhood is about presence. And one of the things I also realized is that discipline is most effective when balanced with love and understanding. One day, and I have repented over a few of these things. I carried the anger, okay, like the way you used to hang your clothes, and I tried to use it to hit my son. And I saw the fear on his face. And for whatever it is, I don't know how that thought came to mind. And I said, no, I won't be like this. Even though that's how I was raised, how I was raised in the sense that even in the boarding school that I attended, the seniors would oppress the juniors. So I thought that the way to control and demand respect was control. And that was a big lie I soon discovered. And I'm glad that I converse with my children. And I'm saying, fatherhood really and with discipline should not just be instilling fear. Another thing is that you must be able to have open communication. You must. If you cannot have open communications with your sons and your daughters, they will go and talk to others that will mislead them. Yes, people will take advantage of them. Hug them, show them love. When they have issues, relate with them. Okay? And I'm saying this just so that you see that you must model vulnerability. The days of you can't cry in front of your children is let them also feel your pain. Sometimes my children come up to me and say, Dad, is everything okay? I'm like, well, I'm trying to. So they have an understanding that it's not always all right with that. And somehow they want to also manage emotions, because I'm also teaching them. Remember, it's not what you tell them, it's what they see that they practice. So I say, no, I just need a quiet time. We'll say, oh, Dad is having a quiet time. Sometimes they see me pray. Sometimes they see me praise. What are you doing? Okay, these are ways that you begin to morph from being a disciplinarian to being a proper dad that works with love, understanding, and builds a connection rather than controlling. Don't be a control freak now. There's a remote control. He does not hear go come. He will just be. So why are you like that remote control? So be model vulnerability. Okay. Now look, you might not know. One of the things I've tried to do when we started with this conversation is that I keep sharing different perspectives. One of the perspectives that is critical to whatever we're talking about is that in this age of mental illness and mental awareness, there's a constant need to also re-emphasize the psychological impact of moving from a disciplinarian to being a loving dad that moves with love, connection, and understanding. And one of such, is that, connection over control. It strengthens father-child relationship. That's how those children will come back home. Or when you are weak, they are there to support. And I'm not saying you're waiting for any child to come and give financial support, but I'm saying that you all still are a family. You see some family, they don't even see each other again. This thing also leads to emotional breakdown, because as the parents begin to get to an older age, they now start looking for the children, but they were never available in the first place. So guys, ladies, and the ladies that love the guys, help your men in this redefinition to build connection and love. Because look, connection, it just strengthens father-child relationship, whether we like it or not. It's just that's one of the psychological benefits. And another thing is that fathers who are emotionally available help children develop better emotional health, because they see how you are handling some things that you're handling. They have seen also how you dealt with some of these crises. It helps them, just to be able to build the mental fortitude and resilience. So I'm saying be available, be present, connect rather than control. Another thing is that emotionally connected fathers help reduce behavioral issues in our children. This dysfunction that children display, and then they become recalcitrant or criminally minded, where they don't, all they can just see is either they are chasing the money, or they are clueless, and lack initiative. And just like my mother would say, they lack gumption. Is when the model that the father is supposed to display, is lacking. And so at that point, they become, how would I say it? They become wayward. And you find out that this, particularly even for homes that are broken, this is one of the reasons why we have a lot of recalcitrants, criminally minded people, nincompoops, loitering around our town and our society. So this is a call. It's even a national assignment. It is even in a continental assignment to ensure that men rise up, men are present, men are there for their family, there for their children. Okay. It also helps to overcome the fear of losing authority. Like once you begin to understand that you're available, once you begin to see the psychological impact of having to say you are here, you start to see that you have come to that point where you are now settled. You probably don't feel threatened again, because the only reason why people get into that point where they are in the fear of losing authority is because there's no connection. They think that the things will leave them. There's a complex. So come here, go there, and then your authority begins to wane. Now let's go to the biblical perspective around this. One of the verses that comes to mind is in Colossians 3:21. It says, "Fathers are instructed, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged." You are supposed to be an encourager. You are supposed to be an epitome. You are supposed to be a go-to person, their motivator. You are supposed to be an inspiration to your children. Don't provoke them to wrath. Okay? And so if fathers begin to model fatherhood in line with this perspective, in line with even the psychological consequences, then we begin to see a quantum leap in terms of how society becomes or begins to become repaired. The values are becoming instilled, and then we can bring some stability and peace to our society. So can we shift from control to connection? If this has been really insightful for you or to you, please, you just might want to click the share button and just subscribe. And I hope that you join us for tomorrow, day 10, where we're going to be defining masculinity with a focus on how you can stop controlling your wife and you can now start really finding true happiness. Okay, so guys, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. But please, if this has truly enriched you, kindly share your thoughts, your perspective, and let's have this conversation going. It promises to be interesting. Thank you for showing up. I love you, but yes, God loves you best. Bye.